Hello and welcome to this episode on Sketching with Schillinger, writing music with a set of techniques from his music composition system. In part 2 I'll demonstrate how to create melody with rhythm from an elementary 3-pitch cell and use the results in an example orchestral composition. It is part of a series where the first episode presents the full 4-minute piece of music, part 3 has the focus on deriving chord structures and progressions, and both melody and harmony return in the final part. Please join me on this discovery trip with Schillinger System techniques in the melody domain. Let's introduce this series. In case you already watched part 1, the composition overview, you may want to skip this section and instead fast forward or jump to section 3. Over the years, I've uploaded many tutorials about techniques from the Schillinger System of musical composition. There you'll find fundamentals and numerous examples. However, viewers have been asking, please could you demonstrate the sketching process in more detail? Show me how you get from a basic sketch with a single or a combination of Schillinger techniques to the final version of a piece of music. Since I'm not a fan of doing live streams, my answer is this 4-part series built around an original orchestral composition where I'll demonstrate the sketching process. Parts 2 to 4 will focus on the details, specific aspects such as melody, rhythm, harmony and orchestration. The first episode, however, serves as an overview and may be used as a reference, with the full-length composition as reduced score and audio. As always, you'll see diagrams, staff notation, and there will be numerous audio fragments. If you would like to support my tutorial production efforts, you may do so through a single PayPal donation or become a patron and get access to regular uploads with additional content. This overview section is an abbreviated version of the equivalent section 2 in part 1 in the series. It describes the context of this set of tutorials. I'm a regular user of the Schillinger System of musical composition, a system for writing music that is now almost a century old. It is available as a reprint 2-volume book set. In more than 1500 pages you'll find 12 books called The Theory of Rhythm, Scales, Melody, Harmony, etc. I published and uploaded many practical tutorials on techniques from the system. I still find it's a great toolbox for writing functional music when you're not in a position to wait for inspiration and you have to meet strict deadlines. I think its greatest potential lies in the generalization approach, where all options, permutations and combinations are investigated. In case you are new to the Schillinger system, watch these 2 videos about the definitions and terminology. There will be lots of references to specific YouTube tutorials in this video. Regularly, in response to these tutorials, there have been requests for a more detailed demonstration of the sketching process, as the online content frequently moves from the fundamentals to the final version of the examples, skipping a number of intermediate steps. And that's what I'll be doing here, with this series around a 4-minute and 116 bars long example orchestral composition with A, B, C, D form. You'll see the application of many Schillinger System techniques, where in this episode the focus is on a specific domain, either melody, rhythm, harmony or orchestration. The starting point for the sketching process is this humble melodic cell, a set of 3 pitch units C, D and E flat. Section 3 in part 2 from the series on Sketching with Schillinger zooms in on the process of creating a melody from the elementary 3-pitch melodic cell. It is shown here at the center of the diagram with the overview of the Schillinger techniques, and the long arrow in the northeast direction shows the path we'll follow for creating a full and varied melody. Here you see the cell in staff notation, as cyan-colored dots on a 1-octave keyboard and in the pitch disc diagram. The latter is relevant when we interpret these 3 pitch units as a pitch class set in atonal music, a subject about which I did a series of YouTube tutorials. The pitches C, D and E flat may be considered 3 successive degrees from a diatonic scale in the key of C minor. The orange-colored dots will be discussed later. The sketching process starts with an investigation of the melodic potential of these pitches. Changing the order of the three pitches in the set yields 6 permutations, which are called the melodic forms, MF1 to MF6. I'll show where melodic elements have been used in the final score, and here is the first example, the use of a single melodic form. The composition opens with a statement of MF2, the ordered set of pitch units C, E flat, D, returning to C. The orchestration involves pizzicato low strings and harp. It is a simple instrumental form, with a uniform rhythm since all instruments play half notes only. When we string a number of melodic forms together, we obtain a melodic continuity. Here the sequence consists of 8 melodic forms, with the order indicated at the top. Notice that not all 6 melodic forms have been used. I've deliberately omitted MF1 from the continuity. Also, there is a set of coefficients that determine how often each element occurs in the series. And note that 2 forms, MF4 and MF5, occur twice in succession. You'll understand that this already offers numerous combination options. In my selection, I wanted to show that this may lead to repeated pitch units in the continuity, such as D, D and E flat, E flat. Although the result is not a real melody with a nice, beautiful pitch curve, it has a period structure with 4 subphrases A, B, A, B, with antecedent consequent character. I liked this sequence of 24 pitches and decided to use it in the composition as a source for melody. To add character to the melody, we also need a rhythm, which is the subject of this section. Rhythm generating blocks are shown in the lower right corner of the technique's overview diagram. We'll use a typical Schillinger rhythm, obtained through a rhythm generation process called a binary synchronization, where 2 clocks ticking at different time unit intervals are triggered simultaneously and will yield a combination rhythm. The mathematical operation is called fractioning and is discussed at great length in my e-book on Schillinger rhythms. The 4-3 fractioning attack duration series is shown here in numbers and in staff notation. The time unit is the 8th note. The total duration is 16 time units. When notating the rhythm, we also select a time signature. Thus, we may group the attack duration pattern into bars of music. Listen to this pattern. We modify this basic pattern by splitting longer duration attacks into smaller time unit attacks or rests. This is another Schillinger rhythm technique and yields more varied, less symmetrical rhythms, as shown on the lower staff. This pattern has a total of 10 attacks, and we label the measures as R1 to R4. From these 4 measures, we generate a rhythmic continuity, again using a series combination of the smaller units. This combination involves circular permutation of R1 to R3. This yields a rhythm with 24 attacks and total duration of 36 time units. I've omitted rhythmic cell R4. In the next processing step, we overlay this rhythm on the melodic continuity, which, coincidentally, also consists of 24 note attacks, and thus we obtain the following melody with rhythm. I decided to use this pattern as an ostinato riff in the fast tempo B section of the example composition. The first statement is for low mid register staccato playing strings. The time signature is 4/4. The process of pitch and rhythm combination and synchronization may seem cumbersome, but the result I find more interesting than the overused repeating short spiccato riffs in epic music. In this first statement, I used a little rhythmical twist. The snare drum is playing the exact same rhythmical pattern, but delayed by 2 beats, thus becoming a kind of imitation. Here I demonstrate another Schillinger variation mechanism. It is the same 24 notes attack melodic continuity combined with the earlier rhythmic continuity, but now I've used the triplet 8th note as time unit. This is equivalent to a rhythmic diminution. Grouping this result in 4/4 time signatures sounds thus. I decided to use the triplet variation at different places in the composition. Here is the split phrase opening statement of the triplet continuity in rhythmical augmentation, as quarter note triplets. Listen to the cellista playing the antecedent phrase A-B. The triplet rhythm is also used in the closing section. This is discussed in part 4 in the series. Let's return to the basic melodic continuity. I decided to modify the antecedent phrase rhythm in such a way that it can be used as main theme in the closing section. This implies a more free rhythm with quarter note time unit. Through octave transposition of some of the pitches, we obtain a more genuine, more beautiful and romantic melody with an ascending pitch curve, marked here with a green arrow. We may apply other operations to the original melodic form and continuity. In this section I'll demonstrate my experiment with melodic inversion. In the Schillinger System Techniques overview diagram, I highlighted the variation block in the upper right corner. Inversion is one option for creating variation. Here you see the inversion process, starting with the original form on the left. Inversion about the pitch unit C yields the result labeled I0. That is, inversion about pitch class C with number 0. Of course, we then may apply transposition of the inversion form. For I11, we get the 3 pitch classes B, A and G sharp. To judge the melodic and harmony potential, we write the combination of the original and inverted form as a 6 pitch unit scale. Combining O0 and I11 yields a segment from an octatonic scale. I decided to use the melodic inversion pitch class set in the opening measures of the example composition, see bars 5 to 7. However, if you look closely, you will notice that I modified this inverted form into A flat, B flat to C. Why? Well, I listened to the true inversion, but did not find the cadential effect returning to pitch class C very strong. Lowering the A natural to A flat, the flat 6th degree, we obtain pitches from the subdominant, dominant and tonic axis in succession. This sounds like a more natural closing. This is an example of where I start with a strict Schillinger approach, but then decide to deviate and use it more freely. You may want to try the 2 options yourself and compare the effect. Now have a look at the combination of original form O0 and inversion form I11. As I said before, this yields an octatonic scale fragment. For me, this indicates the danger of using a cliché. The octatonic scale has great potential melodically and in the harmony domain, but I immediately felt trapped into the Stravinsky rite of spring idiom and its derivatives, totally overused in bombastic epic music. I preferred to avoid the octatonic flavor in my example. So instead I decided to investigate all other inversion forms, and here you see two more options, I10 and I9, plus the 6 pitch unit scales when combined with the original form O0. The first combination has Phrygian modal scale character. I could have used this, but decided not to do so and not slip into an Andalusian music idiom. So here is the next lower option, transposition by another semitone, the I9 inversion. Now the combined scale is not octatonic. Instead, there is symmetry about the center, which I decided to apply in the composition. And that explains the orange colored dots that I showed in part 1 and mentioned earlier in this video. The 6-pitch combination in the pitch disc diagram and on the piano keyboard. The former clearly displays the symmetry of the pitch class distribution. Let's have a look at the application somewhere in the middle of the A section. It has become a motif statement for muted trumpet and French horn, starting on the tonic degree and ending on the G, the dominant degree, thus melodically creating a sort of half cadence. But there is more potential in the combination of original O0 and inverted I9 form. Have another look at the scale and notice the G minor diatonic interpretation option. This is the main characteristic of the melodic form on the left, which also starts on the tonic degree G and ends on the dominant degree pitch D. The shape of this motif consists of 2 whole tone and then 2 semitone steps. This is an interesting feature that I decided to incorporate in the example composition. The first statement is this G minor scale in disguise, as rhythmical augmentation and imitative motifs for woodwinds, in combination with the ostinato riff melodic continuity that we saw earlier and that now is assigned to piano. This yields a brief quasi-baroque chamber music setting. The combination of original and inverted form also is used at the end of the B section, where we first hear the O0 form plus the transposed inversion I11 as unisono forte motif in half notes for horns and tubular bells. Then there is the combination with the transposed inverse about pitch class A as a more subtle transition for solo clarinet and celesta. The G minor key character, a byproduct of the O0 I9 combination, returns at the end of the slow C section. This phrase starts as a counterpoint setting for clarinet, horn and cello and closes with the melodic form in G minor that we saw earlier. Now you'll see an application of the inversion variation of the melodic continuity with triplet rhythm. It becomes a musical element in the closing section, where it is set as a countermelody to the main theme. It is also used as a two-part inversion as we approach the closing climax. Listen to this inverted continuity with most other instruments omitted from the submix. We return once more to the original set of melodic forms and use one form as a closing section motif. You'll learn more about this section in part 4 of the series, where I'll demonstrate the Schillinger melodic figuration technique. In the reduced score, I've marked this motif and you'll recognize a transposed version of melodic form MF2, here set as diatonic parallel 2 parts in various instruments. This statement matches the opening motif MF2, thus melodically creating a kind of bridge form. In the orchestration I've used woodwinds, double French horns and once again the tubular bells. Unfortunately, this melodic form is somewhat hidden in my fortissimo tutti audio mixdown. Occasionally, in the example composition, I've used free melodic elements, that is, not derived from the core melodic cell. At some places in the piece, you'll find motifs and runs derived from the local harmony instead. That's the case in the phrases where I've used chromatic median pairs in the harmony, a subject discussed in part 3 from the series. There you'll hear the resulting texture, background harmony and foreground melodic material. Let's put this episode back into the overall picture. You've been watching a detailed breakdown of the example orchestral composition in the melodic domain. I've demonstrated a number of Schillinger System techniques for obtaining melodic elements and variation. Revisit part 1 for the introduction and overview, or continue with parts 3 and 4, where I analyze the harmony elements and the melodic figuration technique in the closing section, respectively. In this episode I played audio excerpts and submixes only, but in part 1 you may listen to the full duration orchestral piece. For my patrons there's a companion document with text, diagrams and scores. And also I created a Patreon share on Dropbox with multimedia source material. Hopefully you'll find this demonstration of the sketching process most useful. If you enjoyed watching this tutorial, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. One-time PayPal donations and new patrons that support my production of video tutorials are most welcome. You'll find the links in the description below. Visit the website for more content or for purchasing ebooks on musical analysis, arranging for orchestra and Schillinger rhythm. See you in the next episode of this series on Sketching with Schillinger, and thanks for watching.